Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody, welcome back to your pre-market watch list. Today we're going to start things off with the stock FPRX. This is a really big mover. Started around, say, $5-6 yesterday after hours. And ended up running all the way to $26 this morning on some news of some cancer treatment and or trial. So we figured we would watch this. Just looking at the chart alone, the price is pretty overextended. But we're going to keep this on watch today. We're going to see if the momentum continues up. Right now, we do kind of have some trending support on the stock around $19.84. Again, currently, we already hit a high at $26.90. We're trying to base out pre-market, basically where we're at. You can kind of see we've been holding some dips, putting in some higher lows. Really trying to get through this little consolidation area pre-market. Now, if that happens, we should see a jump to the upside, which might first kind of target around the $23.50 price. So for right now, we are in fact keeping an eye on FPRX today. Say this thing really does explode and it really does break up. In theory, price targets could be as high as $50 on the day. Okay. The first thing we would really try to get to is maybe the pre-market high here. Say this really does break up, again, we would probably go for a target around 27. So right now, FPRX is going to be one of the main watches for us here today. A couple other things that were moving penny stock wise was MYO. Now, this stock doesn't look all that great right now, but if we look at the 4-hour chart, it does look okay. You kind of have some curling action. We've already pressed up, hit resistance, and pulled back. This sort of reminds me of GTEC from just from yesterday, right? If we looked at GTEC, it was sort of similar, right? In the morning, it had run up, and then by the market open, it had faded all the way down, and then it really just went on a monster run. It's possible we could be looking at something similar here with MYO. It's a low float stock, and just over the past, call it half a year, we've been really trying to break through this blue line. Haven't been successful, except now we're pretty close to it again. So maybe we do in fact get the breakout on MYO today over the 577 price for right now. A couple other notable mentions would be Zoom. Zoom is sold off all the way from $588 down to a low of $370. We're pretty close to our deviation support around $350. And I believe, we started to slightly bounce off the half standard deviation mark yesterday. So today we were going to keep an eye on Zoom, see if in fact this move starts to bounce back for us. Now, if in fact it does start to go long, our first initial target on the reversal with Zoom would be about 422. So we could have, upwards of a $20 per share move on the stock if we're right. That brings it closer to 422. Maybe not today, might happen by tomorrow, but we are in fact watching Zoom closely to see if we can get a bounce here. Now, when we look at the S&P 500 today, it does kind of seem bullish, right? I mean, we had this big sell-off day, we dipped. Right now, the market needs to get back over the price of 357.87. That there is pretty much the closest trend line we have as of right now that we could suggest the market can break over, all right? So the way we look at this is currently 357.87 is resistance, but if the markets can get up, cross through, then that's a bullish sign. So we are in fact watching for SPY to get back up and over the 357 mark. And then if this wants to keep running into these all-time highs, I mean, we're pretty much anticipating the market can get back all the way to, say, 385. The only downside is we have seen a lot of selling pressure around this top. Sell, sell. So far we had that big selling day. So it does seem like the markets are a little bit hesitant and or a little bit nervous still. But nonetheless, still keeping an eye on the SPY today to get back up and over that 357.80s mark. And it's pretty much, it's very similar to the way the NASDAQ is positioned now. The NASDAQ had come down and started bouncing our half standard deviation zone here, and this has a long way to go before it gets to any sort of new trend line. Right now, trend line resistance is at 285.60, so let's see where that's at. So we are above 285.60. So right now, the NASDAQ doesn't have any upside targets pretty much into about 302. And as everybody probably knows by now, a lot of the tech stocks have been selling off after the news of the vaccine. So people have been moving out of the tech stocks. The stocks that have been holding the market strong for the past couple months, a lot of the stay-at-home stocks, people have been taking money out as this vaccine news has become more of a thing. Now, we still have silver and the dollar underperforming. We had the breakout move, and then the vaccine news came, and it really dropped these out. So still going to be bullish on them overall long term, but hey, we might be having to go through a little bit more pain here relatively soon since the news of the vaccine. But all of the underlying issues that cause for gold and silver to be bullish are really still there. Economy, you could argue it's recovering. We're still printing money. So nonetheless, all of the underlying factors that would normally keep strength in gold and silver long term are still there. We still have a weakening dollar. So overall, still going to be holding gold and silver for long-term plays going forward. Now, another thing you might be interested in are going to be a couple earnings reports here, which are Lyft. Lyft reported earnings. So far, it had performed pretty well from its earnings report, dropped and recovered, holding okay. And another one that's pretty interesting is Fubo, F-U-B-O. They reported earnings at a price target upgrade to 20, which clearly they're already at. It's a little overextended. We might be looking for a pullback here down to say $18.88 before we continue moving higher on this move. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty much the pre-market breakdown here for you today. So FPRX, keeping a couple eyes on earnings reports, FUBO, Lyft, and that's pretty much all we're watching other than Zoom. So everybody take care, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next one.